Today, Triumph have revealed that they'll be reviving the historic Trident name in the form of an all-new middleweight roadster motorcycle. I was lucky enough to get a sneak peek at the first concept model in the flesh last week at the Design Museum in London, but this isn't just some pie-in-the-sky concept that'll never make it to production. Triumph said at the event that the full details of the new Trident will follow in the coming weeks and months, with it going on sale in early 2021. They also revealed that it'll be competitively priced, providing a new entry point into the Triumph Roadster range. So in today's video, I'll go through everything that they told us about this brand new machine, as well as looking at the bikes that it'll have to beat in order to compete in this segment of the market. But before we get started, if you're new here and you want to see more of the latest motorcycle news, reviews and rumours right here on YouTube, then please do remember to hit subscribe. During the presentation, Triumph said that this bike has been 4 years in the making, designed by a dedicated team at Hinckley with the support of Italian designer Rodolfo Frascoli. His portfolio includes the Tiger 900, which is one of my favourite looking adventure bikes, as well as the recently rebooted Suzuki Katana and a number of Italian brands like Moto Guzzi, Moto Marini and Gilera. Triumph say that the bike has some of their signature design features that make it distinctively a Triumph Roadster, but with added Italian flair injected by Frascoli. The overall stance, the triple-cylinder engine, the swing arm, 5-spoke wheels and underslung exhaust certainly all contribute to some resemblance with its bigger sibling, the Street Triple. But there's almost a smidge of retro about the top half of the bike, which distinguishes it from many of Triumph's other modern bikes. The typical twin headlights, for example, that you'll find on the Street Triple, Speed Triple, Tiger and Rocket have made way for a single round LED unit that looks like it could have been plucked straight off a Bonneville like the Speed Twin. This is echoed in the dash, which looks a little like the clock you'll find on a Husqvarna Vitpillen or Svartpillen, although the Triumph looks as though it'll have a little more screen space. The tank also has a more rounded shape than the aggressive edges of the Street Triples, and on first glances reminded me of the tank from a Ducati Sport Classic. The concept bike showed a short, stubby subframe, the end of which comes down in line with the rear axle, which has become more and more common on modern bikes. The same could be said for swing arm mounted license plate holders, which Triumph confirmed will be fitted to the production version of the Trident, preserving the clean look of the tail end. Elsewhere, there are some nice bits of finishing on the belly pan and radiator guards, and the front mud guards certainly caught my eye with a bit of a hump towards the leading edge. Not something I've really seen before, and it'll be interesting to see if it makes it onto the final production bike. It's certainly a new direction for Triumph and cuts somewhere between their current roadsters and the modern classic range. Personally, I'm happy to see something new. A smaller, simpler take on the Street Triple might have just felt like a budget version without its own character. But the Trident stands apart whilst carrying over some of the characteristics that make the Street Triple such a popular bike. Now, we certainly got plenty of time to look over the bike from a visual perspective, but Triumph really didn't give much detail in terms of technical specs. So I'll do my best here to make some predictions based upon the little information we did get. They're calling it a middleweight roadster, so I think we can expect it to be in the 600 to 650 range and competing with the likes of the massively popular Yamaha MT-07, Honda's CB650R, the Kawasaki Z650 and Suzuki's SV650. The all-new engine used in the Trident is of course a triple, playing to Triumph's strengths, and they pointed out that it will be the only 3-cylinder bike in this segment of the market. The Z650, MT-07 and SV650 are all twins, and the Honda CB650R an inline 4, so this could tempt some buyers towards the Trident, which will deliver a balance between the low rev torque of the twins and the high-end rush of the CB. It certainly worked for the Street Triple over the course of many years. Power ranges from 70-ish horsepower for the SV and Z650 up to 94 horsepower on the CB650, so perhaps we can expect the Trident to end up somewhere in the middle at around the 80 or 85 horsepower mark. There'll also be an A2 friendly version that can be restored to full power at a dealer, as Triumph will clearly be hoping to attract new, younger customers to their range. Elsewhere, we can see twin discs up front with what look like Nissan calipers front and rear, although this is certainly subject to change. Either way, I wouldn't expect the high-spec, radially mounted monoblock Brembos that you'll get on the Street Triple, as this bike will be built to a more competitive price point point. There are upside-down forks and a monoshock at the rear, and for the same reason, I'd expect these to be non-adjustable apart from preload on the shock. It still ought to be a great handling bike though. That was one of the key design criteria that Triumph mentioned in their presentation. The first was that it would be the only triple in its class. The second, that it would have Triumph's trademark accessible, agile and confidence-inspiring handling. Now the third was that it would have class-leading technology as standard. The MT-07 is almost certainly the benchmark in this category, and that bike focuses on giving the best possible mechanical performance at a super tempting price. As a result, the most technologically advanced features of that bike are ABS and an LCD display, so it won't necessarily take a lot for Triumph to outdo them. I'd expect at least a road and rain riding mode on a ride-by-wire throttle, as well as traction control on top of the ABS, which has to be fitted to all new bikes. And although the dash looks pretty compact, there are a couple of screens set into the round face. It's not the huge slab of TFT that you'll see on the likes of the Tiger 900 and bikes from other manufacturers, but Triumph used a similarly awkward shape on the 1200 Scrambler and the Rocket 3, and they still managed to pack in pretty much all the same tech and phone connectivity as the Tiger. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some market-topping features here. But whether the Trident will truly be able to compete with the MT-07 will most likely depend upon the pricing, as this is one of the Yamaha's key strengths at just under $7,000 on the road. This year Triumph actually reduced the price of the Street Triple, with the base model now coming in at £8,100. So I'd expect the Trident to be less than that and close to the $7,000 of the MT-07 if that's possible with the extra tech they say it'll offer. Despite being designed and developed in the UK at Hinckley, pretty much all of Triumph's manufacturing has now been moved to their Thailand factories, which will no doubt help them to keep it competitive. Last year it was announced that Triumph would be partnering with Indian manufacturer Bajaj to produce some more affordable and smaller capacity models, but this is not one of the fruits of that collaboration. It will be produced in the same way as any other Triumph you currently see on sale. As always, I'd love to hear your first impressions of this bike. Personally, I'm more excited about an affordable roadster where you can use pretty much all of the power on the road than I would be about another super technological 200 horsepower naked. It's new ground for Triumph, and I can't wait to take one for a spin when they're eventually on the road. But as always, I'd love to hear what you think. If you've got questions, then please do leave them in the comments below, and I'll make another video trying to answer them. And as always, if you're new here and you want to see more videos like this, hit subscribe and I'll catch you next time.